From high on a hill in Toledo, Oregon, this is Rhonda's Room, and I'm the hostess who loves you the mostest. James Jensen-Grace. James has been so good to come back after going home and doing a whole bunch of stuff. He has come back for today for part 2, and I want to thank you so much for joining us again.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be back.
Wonderful. This is just so enjoyable. I was really enjoying part 2, so much so that we're having a part 2 now. I enjoyed part 1. I'll get it straight.
We'll just wing it.
Yeah, or whatever. Okay, so we were starting to talk about your
Ventures.
activist work, your speaking engagements, your ventures, and so part 3 of these interviews for me was to have James tell us about his other ventures. And I'm just reading them from my script: podcasting, something called 3-7 marketing. And then I have a question about what does 3-7 signify?
Yeah.
And something recently new, Jensen-Grace Consulting.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to talk as much as you'd like on each one of them, and promote the heck out of them, and tell us where you're going and how it can benefit my radio listeners, that would be great.
All right. So, gosh, where do I start?
Well, how about podcasting?
Podcasting?
Well, you
Okay.
shared a podcasting business that would teach people how to podcast.
Yes.
Are you still going to be doing podcasts?
It's actually from one of my mentors, Peter J. Voogd. He's actually from the coastline.
Oh, okay.
Here in Oregon.
I didn't know that.
He posted that and did that link up with John Lee Dumas.
Oh, okay.
Dumas. How do you say his last name? I can never say it right, I'm sure. It's the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's been one of my favorites for years. And he is just one of those guys that he puts out a podcast every single day. And honestly, that little hour class that I sent you, that hour class really got me thinking about really sitting down and doing a podcast a day. Sitting down and probably a couple days a week or a couple days a month, sitting down and just bulk recording and just getting that information out there. Mm-hmm. Whether it's just me, co-hosts, bringing people on, whatever I can do to get some information out there. And the podcast is actually going to be called Translating Transformation. It's going to focus around transformation.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
Well, of course. There's a tie-in there.
There is.
Yeah.
So I've been really moved by what I've been doing in the community this last year, of just kind of falling into it to be able to try and step up to the plate and tell my stories to help find solutions for healthcare providers that, quite frankly, don't have the information to be able to grow. But I think that it's not just the healthcare. I think it's also the people. The individuals need someone to listen to. And there really isn't a podcast out there that's going to discuss this stuff.
So for the podcast, do you have space for equipment? What are you going to do? Usually when I think of podcasts, I think of somebody that has a special room and they have an array of equipment, and they've got T-shirts for sale and
all the stuff.
all the stuff for sale. So are you going to get your own equipment and set yourself up?
Yes. It will take time. It will take, I'm going to be honest, I want to launch it right now today, but it's going to take time because I need more connects.
Yeah.
I need more network.
Yeah.
To be able to have some sit-downs and have some good conversations on the podcast.
I understand that to market it, it's a whole new ball game. It's not just sitting down with a local radio station and talking about your favorite subject, but
Yeah.
you really have to sell yourself and sell your merchandise, and your merchandise can be I say T-shirts because
Programs, anything.
programs. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Listening to that, and unfortunately, I would love to do the same thing, but I just don't have the setup, and for the time being, I'll just be doing what I'm doing. But
Well, maybe we'll get there. Maybe I'll share a setup when I get a setup.
oh wow, yeah, I could be your sidekick.
that'll be
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah, I could be your transgender female counterpart, sidekick.
Co-host.
Co-host, yes, co-host, right.
The
Like-
hostess with the mostest.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm trying to interest Marcy in co-hosting my show on a somewhat regular basis, and she's got to recover from her knee surgery, so
She'll get there.
we're kind of
She
working
definitely
on
will.
that. But one thing I'm interested in is I saw on your Facebook page something called 3-7 Marketing, and I thought, what is that?
So that was a venture I started, I think 3 years ago. Is it now? It was actually, I was actually DJing weddings. I had Jammed Entertainment, which was my wedding DJ business that I had been running for, I don't know, a couple of years. And I was getting pretty booked up, and I just happened to notice how people started talking about my business on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people started talking about the way that I did weddings, and it meant so much to me to have kind of that, you know, a random post on social media of, I need somebody to do my wedding music. Does anybody have a name?
Huh.
People were tagging me. People were telling stories. I was so moved by that, and I started just really thinking about the whole, I'd always had this knack for marketing and brand storytelling. So I just kind of just started doing more of it, and I started going out and trying to close in accounts with all sorts of providers. Like, gosh, there was chiropractors. I went to restaurants, bars. I went everywhere around town trying to get people to just let me do their social media and digital media marketing.
Oh, so it went
So-
beyond weddings.
It wasn't, it wasn't
you-
even on weddings. It was just,
Uh-huh.
I noticed my DJ business kind of take off because
Okay.
of digital media.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I can run this myself, but I could run other people's stuff to help their businesses.
Ah,
You know?
wow, yeah.
So I made that connect, and then I was like, you know, might as well give it a shot. So I got out there on foot and started networking all over town and started just knocking door to door on businesses and trying to close deals and start basic, and then moved into actually running ads for companies. And I got pretty far into it for a minute, but it kind of slowed down when I got out here. When I got out here, it was like the universe was telling me that I needed to focus on something bigger and better, and that's kind of how Jensen-Grace Consulting kind of came about.
So you started
So-
all of this before you moved here. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's okay. So it wasn't. Yeah. So you made a big change. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of big changes.
Yeah. And so you're not. Do we are anybody that's wanting to get married, same-sex marriage or whatever, you know?
I have a guy that can do DJing. but
Okay. Okay.
I'm not interested anymore.
Well, okay, yeah, I was going to say I can't connect anybody, but just get a hold of me at KYAQ, and we'll connect you with somebody that can
Yeah.
do that. So anybody planning to get married before the present administration decides that that's not legal either. Nothing is.
man.
Yeah, we won't go there. Oh yeah, back to I guess we're kind of segueing into the Jensen-Grace Consulting side.
Yeah, it all kind of goes together. I think the 3-7 marketing business, I think when I got out here, and it was exhausting trying to re-network with people. You know, being in a new town, you got to
Oh yeah,
you got to start over again.
yeah.
And 3-7 marketing just kind of crashed out, and I just put it as a project that wasn't even a side project anymore. It was
Okay.
just on the back burner. You know what? I got other things to worry about. I was helping my brother with his stuff, and then Jensen-Grace Consulting just kind of sparked right up.
Mm-hmm.
The people that I met at PFLAG took me out to that gender health meeting, and then it just kind of all clicked. I sat in that meeting and I was like, holy cow,
No,
I understand.
Where was that meeting?
It was in Corvallis.
Okay.
Yes. And in that meeting, I was just sitting there thinking, holy cow, I understand marketing. I understand business structure to a great extent. And I have these stories for the last 10 years of healthcare providers not knowing how to assist me with my transition.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of, I mean, that moment really was just like, I need to build a consulting firm.
Mm-hmm.
I need to build something that I can offer solutions to healthcare providers, trainings,
Mm-hmm.
anything and everything we can possibly think of that are, the most important key points.
Mm-hmm.
I really just kind of dove into that.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on and trying to piece together.
Mm-hmm. So are you? Because what I found when I found a complete vacuum in anything to do with transgender healthcare when I came here, and everybody talked about that. So I don't want to belabor the point, but I did find when I was trying to encourage, say, my primary care provider to attend some educational presentation that was not required of him by the hospital that he was working for.
Yeah,
or
the continuing education credit stuff.
Yeah, he was a provider, and for with my insurance company anyway. But he wasn't required to do that. What he would always tell me is that he doesn't have the time.
It doesn't have the time.
He doesn't have the time, and there's no money to the hospital in doing that because their market is too small, and some people will get offended if he brings transgender people into his office because he'll scare off patients. No, I'm serious.
Oh my
no,
gosh.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm dead serious. So I mean,
It's probably because we're too beautiful.
well, of course, that's right. That's right.
That is right.
So
So one thing I do want to offer is I'm trying to work on the details. Any training that I build for any hospital, for any private healthcare providers that I offer an event for, my goal is to offer the CEUs, the continuing education credit stuff.
okay.
So I don't know much about that. I'm still trying to get my grasp on it.
Yeah.
But I definitely have a mentor that's kind of teaching me a little bit, and I'm definitely researching because I think that's the way that we may be able to crack that don't have time.
Yeah.
Well, you have time for your continuing education this month. Would you like to take this class?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
was continuing education, but again, it was thrown at me. My patients come at me. I can spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes with each patient. It's like an assembly line,
Yeah.
and basically I don't have the time, and the hospital doesn't, the healthcare hospital, just say hospital, the healthcare
Clinic,
group
room,
the
yeah.
group that they're with, carefully regulates what I can and can't do, and they're probably going to say you can't do that because there's no money in that and whatever. So you just have to work. And there's just lots of things.
if they're making too many excuses, they're making too many excuses. We'll focus on the ones that want to make a difference. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a
And then the rest will follow.
there's a long story behind a transgender healthcare facility called in San Francisco called the Transgender Tuesdays, and I've got a video on it, and it's the whole thing, and I can give that to you because the guy that produced that gave me it, and I played that at. I played it from time to time for the healthcare businesses here, but the healthcare people here. But what I was trying to do with that, because that's a brick and mortar building, that's all they do. And that was during the AIDS epidemic. So it came up in San Francisco during the AIDS epidemic. But I was trying to get this hospital here to have a brick and mortar transgender clinic. That it would be just that. And it would be separate. And all I got back from, and you probably hear that if you ever get to that point, that there's no money in it, or it offends
It's whatever, yeah.
some patients, or blah blah blah. So I mean, you'll run into all those things, and I'm sure you'll
Or
work
maybe an
around
idea
those.
off of it is going from the women's clinic into being more, because the women's clinic actually helped me with refilling my hormones.
Well, and they did.
So-
They did too. They
Okay.
did too. But now I have to go out of town for mine because Claire Hall is sharing with me her provider, and
Oh,
that's
good.
what I use
Out of
now.
town.
And Marcy's going to do that too. So you'll be. So that's all I'm going to say about my experiences. But I'm very interested in how you're going to
Yeah.
go about learning them. To make how do you make it worthwhile and motivate doctors who in some cases don't even believe that LGBT is a thing and
Yeah.
don't want to, and for religious reasons or whatever. You have all those things. So you'll have adventures, but I know that you'll do fine because you're really good at what you do. Yeah.
I think my main focus will definitely be on like the providers that do care to learn.
Okay, good. That's
Because
a
I
good
mean,
point.
if you get enough of those allies,
Mm-hmm.
those people either cave,
Mm-hmm.
leave, or be quiet.
Yeah, and another thing that you have an advantage of now is there are more of us.
Oh yeah,
There's
come
more
in
of us. There are more of us. Yes,
we're all coming out.
and that includes Corvallis. I mean,
Yeah.
it includes all of Oregon. So there's more of us. There will be more of us that need health care,
Oh, absolutely.
which will in turn grow more of us's.
Yeah.
And it'll multiply. Yes, I can see it now. Night of the living transgender people marching at us. Doctors, here we come.
Coming out
And
in
it coming
theaters
out
to you.
Yeah, yeah. And here comes James. So just we've got some more time. Just how are you? What do you see as your steps in providing this consulting? Do you have a game plan? You probably do, and you're probably still maybe working on it, or you're going to go. You're going to.
Definitely
You're
working
gonna-
on it. Definitely have a game plan in mind.
Okay. Are you going to start here, or in Corvallis, or in some other city?
Probably. Well, I guess my speaking engagements are in Corvallis
Okay.
next month. But the group that I'm working with in Corvallis that's working on that gender healthcare stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're involved in 3 or 4 different counties.
Okay. Is that
think-
Samaritan?
Well, there is some people from Samaritan that go.
Okay.
But most of it seems like it's mostly some private healthcare providers.
Okay. Okay.
One gal seems like she's got 7 hospitals that she deals with. So it's just a couple of people trying to put our thoughts together to try and build resource guides and everything like that. And I'm thinking that my main focus for hospital-wise will probably start in Newport and then go up from there. I think that's what I really want to start with because it's close enough.
Yeah.
It gives me
Yeah.
the chance to just get started, offer something,
And the
move up
best,
from there.
And when that gets going and it's successful and it's doing all the providing it needs to and more, then kids in school that are coming out will have health care. All ages will have health care.
Yeah.
They won't have to drive somewhere to get what they need.
3 hours.
They won't have to drive somewhere to get what they need.
Yeah.
And they won't have to leave home and go live someplace else
Yeah.
to get what they need, to get a job, drop out. There's all kinds of
Go to school.
all kinds of negative things there
There are.
about having to leave home when you're in school. and to go get these things. So, and of course for the elderly, that's a whole new ball game for the elderly LGBT people,
Yeah.
and the elderly transgender people who will need elder care along with their hormones.
Mhm.
And there's not a heck of a lot of research done on that because it's just not been there. People, I'm sure, have made lots of mistakes on their own and,
Yeah.
and have suffered for it. So
I'm sure.
there's
It's actually, I want to tell you, it's pretty interesting. I was doing a little bit of research on like healthcare providers that denied trans people healthcare.
mm-hmm.
A good portion of the stories that I read were from Corvallis, dating back into the 1800s.
Oh wow.
And I mean, people, ending up with cancer because of something and being denied healthcare because their gender doesn't match up with, what they're saying to the doctors.
Yeah.
All sorts of interesting history there that I really want to learn a bit more so that I can one day teach others, because it's very interesting to be in an area that hopefully I'll make a difference in.
Yeah.
Where it's been documented the most.
Well, in Portland at OHSU, they have the surgeons do SRS.
Oh wow.
They have the surgeons there, and Marcy can tell you about that. But they have the surgeons.
I'm not
there.
used to them being so close.
Well, they have the surgeons there, and they do it, and they are really good with what they do there. But that doesn't translate to other places or private providers. So anything that you can do to learn how Portland's doing it,
Yeah.
because they have everything that you'd ever want to have in Portland.
Yeah, they do.
and
Portland's very advanced.
So that would be a good tie-in, because I mean it's ironic because Portland's so close to Corvallis, and what's up with Corvallis? So
What's
don't
up?
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We all just need educating.
yeah, it's it.
And I'm sure in Portland there's probably a lot of clinics that still need educating.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So you'll be that's great, and I really welcome you telling us about all your ventures and what you're doing, because it is definitely a blessing and an opportunity for the future, and
It is.
bodes well. Now, if you can only find a way to get elder care for transgender people,
Well, we'll figure that out.
because
You'll be the resource.
I'm not, but I'm the old rocking chair is calling me, and from what I hear, it's pretty rough out there for nursing homes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's been a fear of mine. I used to work in healthcare. I used to work with hospice and developmentally disabled adults and such. And something I always thought of is like, how are these people going to be able to take care of me when I'm in it?
Yeah,
Because I'm a trans person.
yeah. Well,
Like, I'm easy to take care
yeah.
of, but people are going to freak out over something because they're going to have to wipe my butt.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
They'll
part of
freak
the
out.
show only gets on after 10 o'clock at
After
night.
10 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
it's the B word.
The B word.
Yeah. No, I've been reading some articles recently about the nightmares that transgender people, things that happen to them when they have to go into like nursing home and rest homes,
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's just
Yeah.
and especially if they don't have relatives overseeing their care.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's a need for the future. So
Yeah.
there's lots of things involved.
So maybe we'll work on projects for that in the future.
Sounds good. I'll go in a nursing home and have them abuse me, and then you can. I'll tell you my experiences, and then
we'll
you could educate them and well, there's a lot of things out there, and I'm so happy that you are doing this, the right place at the right time. Yeah.
It really is.
So, is there anything else? We've got just a couple more minutes to talk. Is there anything else that you'd like to expound presently on our James Part 2?
James Part 2.
Yeah.
Well, I guess everybody's figured out that I'm pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah, they have. Yes.
They probably know you're pretty awesome, too.
Oh, well, I'm working on it. Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
I take my little posters, and I hand them out frequently on billboards and then stores and restaurants. Anybody
Yeah.
that wants one. Did I
It's-
give you?
it's
Do you
marketing.
have my poster?
I don't have your poster yet.
Oh, see, there's a.
I have the Tooth Fairies poster. Everybody knows about the Tooth Fairy, right?
That'll be part 3.
That'll be part 3.
Yeah, we can get into that.
We're about 12 parts in.
Yeah, with that. Yeah.
I definitely do want to say that I'm really looking forward to the Jensen-Grace consulting. And Rhonda, you extending your hand out to be a part of it. I really look forward to working with you and then just doing whatever we can to make it easier for youth, for elder, for anybody in the trans community, anybody along the gender spectrum, honestly.
And who
So-
knows, maybe the health insurance, the Medicare-related health insurance and all, or just health insurance, will get on the bandwagon and actually pay for some of these things that we're talking about that are needed, because that's another gray area, what they pay for and what they don't. So
It'll
anyway,
definitely be figured out.
thanks, James. Thanks for being here, and we'll look forward to hearing from you again one of these days.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Get an update. Thank you so much for having me.
Here's my wrap-up, folks. I would like my listeners to email comments@kyeq.org or call 541-635-0034, and we'll read your comments on the air during the next new show. We air 12:30 p.m. Thursdays and Sundays on your radio dials, 91.7 FM, or streaming live at www.kyeq.org. That website is very interactive. You can do all kinds of things on there. You can listen to not only my archives, but you can listen to all kinds of wonderful shows that are local programmers and feeds that are obtained from other sources. And you can access all of that on your device. Remember, this show is your show. And in addition, if you think you'd like to be a guest on Rhonda's Room, let us know. Please visit the above website and donate, underwrite, or otherwise contribute to our cause, as we are solely dependent on your generosity. And you can volunteer your time and skills. Just call the station and say you want to help out. Keep us on the air, folks. This is Rhonda J, rounding third and heading for home. Bye-bye.